Welcome back to another episode of The Creative Real Estate Agent. I am your host, Anastasia Forrest, broker associate with eXp Realty and creative person. I have a wonderful guest today. His name is Sean Forrest. He's coming at us all the way from the living room. And he is, in addition to being my husband, his most important role in life, just kidding. And, the father of our kids. He's also an amazingly talented general contractor and realtor. And he's been creating music for most of his life. He plays guitar with amazing skill and writes beautiful songs and has the most angelic, gorgeous, masculine voice imaginable.
Wow. Okay.
So he is also creative, and thus he is our guest today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thank you, Anastasia. It's a pleasure being here today.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Maybe that was too many compliments. I didn't mean to overdo it.
Well, it's interesting whenever you get called an angel man, within the first few episodes. I've listened to every episode of this, as I've also, helped with the production side of things. And I think this is the first time you've called someone an angel man. So I appreciate that I get my own superlative.
Of course. Nothing less. You would get nothing less.
Thank you.
Beautiful angel man.
Okay.
All right. So now that we've broken the ice.
What's going on here? Why am I here? What's going on?
So,
you were going to pick my brain. You sent me a long list of questions that you're going to ask me. I was looking at that while you were sitting next to me, or we were on the phone. I started reading them, and you said, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know. I want it to be a free-flowing conversation. So I deleted that email, and I haven't even looked at them, so we could make sure that this is as organic as possible.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Well, you were trying to answer, you were going to go ahead and spill everything over the phone while you're driving 45 minutes. And it's just like, I don't need to do the whole interview, this second.
Yeah. And I shouldn't be reading while driving anyway. Kids don't.
You should not. And that's another reason I reprimanded you. We don't do that.
You did. You said don't do that. And so I stopped.
Okay. Back to the interview person who's giving the interview.
Yes, you.
Just kidding. All right. So first of all, I'm just going to ask you a random question. I just like to throw a random question out just to kind of, just break the ice.
Sure.
All right. So did you realize that didn't become acceptable for women to wear pants until the mid 20th century?
I think I've seen that before, but it does seem a little bit strange that, 70, 80 years ago, it was frowned upon to wear pants in public.
Isn't that crazy?
No, I didn't really you don't put two and two together. Obviously, my parents, both of them being born in the 50s, they grew up in a time when I think women were probably less likely, but at least allowed to wear pants.
Yeah.
So it's generations gone from me, but it's still, that's pretty crazy. I'm glad that you get to wear pants.
Thanks. Yeah. I don't know. I just looked that up the other day. I was actually putting on pants. I was like, oh my God, I love wearing pants so much. Like whoever invented pants, thank you. Cause pants are the best thing ever.
Pants are very nice. I think they're great. Now, one of the first questions that I did see on that questionnaire that I got cut off on, and you told me that we weren't supposed to look at, and then I deleted it. You asked me, or on the sheet it said, do you know why chocolate coffee is called a mocha? And I said I did not know, but that I was going to look it up. And then I never did.
Yeah.
So
I decided to ask you the pant question and instead, because I didn't mean to send you the chocolate coffee question. That was supposed to be a surprise. So I decided to ask you a different question.
Okay. And did you ever look that up?
Actually I did. Yeah.
Okay. So why? So now I'm going to ask you that question, and then we can actually get into a real interview. This is my icebreaker back towards you.
Yeah. So it actually, I read it really quick while I was like waiting in line at Target. So I might not have the most detailed answer, but
Sure.
it has to do with the city one of the cities where coffee was popular, either popularly produced or discovered or something. It's a city. I think it's a city called Mocha. And I don't really know why the whole chocolate, why it got, connected with chocolate, because it didn't necessarily have to have chocolate in it to be called mocha. So in the original sense of the word, I believe it was just sometimes they added chocolate, but not always.
Well, that sounds, I mean, that's kind of like, wasn't it like a place called Hamburg where we get where it's either true or it's false. I don't know, but that's where we get hamburgers from.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
I mean, I don't know if that's true
like French
or not.
Fries.
Yeah. I don't know if those actually started in France or whatever.
Oh my gosh,
but anyway,
we could probably. So far off
we're
the
behind.
Subject.
I imagine that we are probably alienating as many people as possible because they're looking into our actual day-to-day conversations and exactly how incredibly interesting we are when we start chatting.
Of course. Okay. And now no more reference to the questions, because this is actually a behind the scenes thing. Like,
sorry.
Me sending you questions just to prep you. It's not
okay.
something.
Yeah. No. And like I said, I'm very preppy. I'm wearing a collared shirt.
You're good to go. Just be yourself.
I feel like I am.
Thank you. Okay, you're doing great.
Thanks.
Good job. Keep it up.
I'm doing the best I can here.
All right. So let's get on to talking a little bit more about the theme of the show. Stuff to do with that. So first of all, I was wondering, what is your history with music? How did you when did you start really like getting into music? Because before you were, in the general contractor business and housing business and all that, from what I know of you, you played music a lot. That was a big part of your life. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, my entire life, even when I was just like a little kid, we grew up listening to lots and lots of music in the house. I always remember like being at home and listening to music, or being in the car going on trips and listening to music. And I was a singer, a dancer, a mover and a shaker from some of my earliest memories. And then my father started what he called a junior choir, and I think it was around about the same time that we moved from Ocala to St. Augustine. Sometime around then, maybe a few years after we moved to St. Augustine. This is like late 80s, early 90s. And that junior choir was in the church, and I was, singing with the church choir. And I mean, at that time, I was a nice soprano, little kid boy singing very high notes. And then I've been singing pretty much ever since, and mostly was doing that. And then in middle school, kind of following in my older brother's footsteps, because he had a alto saxophone that he played, I think, a year or two in middle school. And then I took that alto saxophone. I think it was my grandfather's alto saxophone. I can't remember. But I played that for 1 year in middle school at Murray Middle School with Miss Brager. And then I put that down, I think because it was so loud listening to an alto saxophone in my little bedroom. And it would just echo off the walls. I'd be like, and it would just like, like echo in my mind chamber. And so I think 1 year of that, and then getting dressed up and doing the little marching band thing in the streets of St. Augustine for like festivals. And it's like 100 degrees outside, and you're wearing like, cummerbunds and, the full outfit. And I'm carrying, this alto saxophone that, was like half my body weight at that time, and walking through the streets. So stopped that when I was around about 13, 14 years old. my dad had a guitar in the house, an old one that he had, forever and ever. I picked it up. He showed me how to play 3 chords. And then I went to my room at that time, and I don't think I came out for a few years, because I was just learning how to play music, and started writing songs pretty much instantaneously, and have been playing music on and off ever since for the last 25 years. And as some of your guests have said, I just dated myself.
Oh, is that what are they saying that right now? Are they
like
picking on you?
I don't mean dated myself like I'm not saying that I'm gonna take myself out for a nice dinner. I'm saying that yeah. So that's about how old I am. 25 plus 14.
Okay.
Math.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Math. Who wants to do math? Ooh.
I love math.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's such a cool story. Oh my gosh, alto saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any desire to ever pick that back up, or are you just done? Just so done?
No. Me and woodwinds weren't great. I don't whistle well. I think I'm done with that. I'll stick to guitar, and I'll let you teach me how to play piano.
Yeah. Sometimes I have dreams about playing the oboe again. Sometimes I have a dream that I have one and then I play it, or a violin, like instruments that I played long, long ago in my youth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Once in a while.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how old were you when you started learning guitar?
I think I was like 14. I think I started learning how to play, and I think I played for a few months, and I every time I would come home from school, I would go straight to my room and I would just start playing guitar. That was my thing. And I believe after about 6-7 months, my dad took me for my birthday, and I got to pick out a guitar. My first guitar was this Ovation guitar, and I loved it, and I played it just all the time up throughout high school, and college. I mean, I think I even took it with me when I moved to Jacksonville later on in life. And now somewhere it is lost in the abyss of guitar.
Is that the Ovation is the guitar with like the round back? Did it have like a round back?
Yeah, mine had like the wide body. They later on they started making these little skinnier bodies, but mine was like the big round bowl, because I like to hit my guitar pretty hard whenever I'm playing, or flat picking, or like rhythm picking, and I like something that can make a big sound without having to be amped up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I much the same as you. I used to come home from school every day in middle school and play piano and sing and write songs and stuff. And I got into the guitar around the same exact age as you. I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah, but you're younger than I am. So
much younger.
You're so much younger than I am.
Not really. I'm only 3 years younger than Sean.
Oh, yeah.
We're not that far apart in age.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So do you have I guess you do have a musical family. It kind of runs in the blood.
Yeah. Mom, I think we've almost always, like from my recollection, we almost always had a piano in the house, and we had a guitar in the house. And my mother played piano. I think she still plays sometimes whenever the inspiration hits her, and my dad would bang out his 4, 5, 6 chords whenever his friends would like come over, and both my parents sang. My dad's like got this really amazing voice, this bass voice, like a deep low, and he's been singing his whole life. Also started out in the church. I think he got to travel to England with a choir whenever he was young, and go and sing in different cathedrals, and then my mother's got a beautiful voice, somewhere in between an alto and a soprano, and she has a great ear for picking out where she needs to be. whenever it comes to singing and blending and doing. So yeah, and then my older brother and I, we had a band together for a short period of time, made an album. And my little brother, he plays, he sings. Like, all of us have always like played and sung from what I remember of everybody and what we do. Like, we don't spend a lot of time doing anything like that anymore, but it was incredibly prevalent once upon a time, before kids and mortgages and living in different households.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Our kids, our 8-year-old and our 4-year-old, I mean,
8 next Wednesday.
I know, but so close.
I know,
right. She's not quite 8, but
yeah.
They're getting to that age where they might start to, take a more active interest in learning something like that.
Yeah. Ophelia, I mean, I know that Ophelia and Arena, they both, love to sing. Ophelia still loves to dance. Arena's starting to get out of that dancey phase, but I think, but she, but whenever she lets loose, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
So singing and dancing, it's still there. It's still a part of life. Yeah, still part of the genes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with construction? Because as of now, that is pretty much your main thing professionally, right? Is helping people build houses and doing custom remodels and things of that nature, correct?
Yeah, custom remodels, custom homes, renovations, anything like that. So my father has been in construction in one form or another since he was probably 15, 16 years old. He started a company, I believe, called Forrest. What was it called? I think it was just called Forrest Construction. I remember he had these little business cards that had these like 2 little leaves on it, and they had like almost like a green, foil like leaves on it. And I remember looking at those a lot when I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Because I knew that my dad did construction because we had gone out and I'd seen him like, on a job site, and he's out there, with his short shorts and his long socks, his shoes, no shirt on, and a tool belt. And he's just like, got his hammer and his nails, and he's like framing up houses and stuff. I was like, oh, that's what Dad does. Dad, hits stuff with a hammer and, and builds things. So I started kind of helping out on job sites. The first job site I ever helped on, I think, was here in St. Augustine, in the St. Augustine Shores, on the corner of Christina and Bahia, which is the same place that you were really close when you moved to town, like right around the corner. We didn't find this stuff out till 30 years later, but yeah, that was my first experience. I think I was 12 or 13. So I started working in construction before I started working on really working on honing my music skills. Even though I was just cleaning up a job site and throwing bricks into a dumpster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That you were real young.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, are you able to use your creativity in construction?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about, I imagine it's the same for just about any job that is your baby, is your thing, as like an entrepreneur, even though I'm in a family business and work alongside my father now, you have to you have to be a little bit more, a little malleable. Like every client is different. Like you can say, like, this is the way that we do things, but you have to be able to adapt to each situation. And even though, a house is going to be made out of bricks, or it's going to be made out of blocks, or it's going to be made out of wood, or whatever it is. And I've worked on, all of these different structures. no two buildings are exactly the same. Like even if you go into, one of those mass, KB Homes, DR Horton style houses, and it looks like two houses are the same, it doesn't mean that it was the same framers. We know that it's not the same wood. We know that it's going to be different hands, that are going into it. So whenever you get into the renovation side of things, you never know what you're gonna get. You start to open up a wall, you start to see some things that could be different. We know how to deal with those things, whether it be like, oh, it's got some mold, or we got a bowed wall because either the weight of the roof or the sticks that they used weren't stacked correctly during framing or something. But we know how to correct most of those issues and mistakes, even though we find new things all the time.
Wow. It sounds almost like I don't know, like you're instilling some order upon the chaos.
Yeah, what it's I don't necessarily want to equate construction to jazz, but I would say that I would probably equate renovation and construction to jazz. Like there's a lot of times where you have to improvise. You work to the best of your ability with your contractors, subcontractors, material people, your architects, engineers, and draftsmen, and then it's a giant band, and we're all coming together. And this guy's playing his tune, that guy's playing their tune, and you just got to kind of orchestrate and conduct that as a general contractor.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense. So you're like the conductor?
I would say that it's very much like being the conductor.
Yeah. Get everybody in tune.
you do your best
in rhythm.
You do your best to get it all in tune so that you have a happy audience.
That's probably the hard part right there.
Yeah.
A lot of hard parts.
It's all just a part of it. Yeah. It's all just part and parcel of the whole construction gig.
So does the sound of your phone ringing or text message alerts going off, does it give you instant anxiety and stress? Because I hear you having to answer your phone like so many times during the day. And I don't know, even it's starting to give me anxiety, and it's not even me who has to respond to those. So
as I've gotten older with this, I would say years ago, probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that it gave me a lot more anxiety than it does now. Like I've learned a little bit better how to compartmentalize, how to prioritize, the things that matter to me in my life. And so where once upon a time, work was way up at the top of like, I've got to make sure that, this project's right. I got to make sure that these people are happy, and I got to make sure, this, that, and the other. Like those things are still very high, and they're very important to me. But I realized that it started to affect, my quality of being, a husband and being a father and being sane. So, I decided that my sanity and my current life, the way that it is, that I had to make an adjustment. So when I do hear my phone ring, whenever I do get the 1,000 text messages, when I do have to, coach clients and subcontractors alike about how to do things, why we're doing things the way that we're doing them. Like I do my best to try to keep the positive. I think I learned, I don't know if it was probably 10 years ago, that if you smile while you're talking, that everything is better. No, actually it was in high school that I think I learned it. I was in choir, and one of the things that Mr. Dodd, who's actually retiring this year after 35 years of service, is that when you sing and you smile, everything seems to come out like just better. Like bring everything up. You can hit the right note. You can stay on pitch and in key by smiling. So I think I brought that over into my normal interaction. Like I think I'm actually probably more of an introverted person than an extroverted person, but whenever I am put into a situation where I have to be extroverted, like the smile comes out and it looks like the cheeks, these things just like, yeah, they get shiny and red and then they push up and then I go into a whole different mode of like, yeah, like this is how we do these things. This is why. Da, 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 da. I know what you're dealing with. I dealt with it before too. But you know what? Everything's going to be just fine. We just have to move these things right on along and everything's going to get done. Everybody's going to be happy. You just have to let these things keep going. You want to keep going? Okay, here we go.
You're amazing.
Oh, thanks. And I do that with our real estate too. Anastasia and I, we are a real estate team. We are the Forrest team at eXp Realty, and I bring my construction part to our real estate team, but I also, I try to bring this. I don't know, like this positive reinforcement that anything that you buy and or sell, it's always gonna have something. But just because it has something doesn't mean that it's insurmountable. Like these are all, anything that's wrong can be taken care of. It just so happens that I can kind of also give you a rough estimate of what those things are going to cost, in a very general sense, because everybody's tastes are different.
This is so true. And it definitely depends on, what things that are, apparent when you're, under contract and you're doing the the inspection is happening and all that. Yes, things are surmountable, but sometimes clients don't want to deal with the things that are discovered, by the inspection, the professional inspectors. So it's good that you're able to, advise them and give them information. But what people choose to do with the information is up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like, and I really do. I love working with you and alongside you in on the real estate side of things, because I get to use my knowledge and expertise in a way that I have never really gotten to use it before. I'm usually like in the thick of things, and with real estate, like it's more like, I don't know if I would say it's more appreciated, but it's more
needed, or there's a lack there. There's like a need that you're filling that's there.
To steal a phrase from our people over at Beaver Toyota, it's kind of like it's there to wow you. It's like this little like it's this it's this unexpected thing. Like, people are just like, well, I don't know what this is going to take. And what if we wanted to change this? And it's like, well, you could change that. And here's some ideas about how you can change it, because I've worked on, definitely tens, if not hundreds of projects, in my 20 years plus of experience.
Right. Yeah. No, you've got a lot of invaluable insight and experience to offer. That's for sure. I mean, we saw it just the other day. We were actually at an inspection where one half of the domestic couple was there and the other half could not be there. And Sean took the other half, the man half, the husband.
I took the man half.
He had him on a virtual. Okay, sure. I said that in a very strange way, but he had a virtual conversation with him as they walked. Sean walked him over every square foot of this house, and gave him the most detailed information that one could possibly have about a house. He spent a good 45 minutes on the phone at least, and and he's throwing off he had a ruler, not a ruler, a tape measure but he also just eyeballed some things. He's like, oh yeah, this is, yeah. And okay, the ceiling slanted because they followed the line of the thing that I don't know the word for, the gable, maybe.
No, the roof truss.
The roof, that, yes.
Yeah.
And that is why he is in construction and has that experience. And anyway, it is, I mean, not everybody can provide that. Not every realtor has all of that ability to do the quick math and, you know, just know intimately how a house should work, how it's put together, you know, what looks right, what doesn't look right.
It was funny actually on that particular one, because when the inspectors were there and they went up into the roof or into the attic, you know, off of the ladder, and they're looking at, you know, this, that, and the other, and they're talking to each other. There was two inspectors there, and they were talking back and forth. They were just like, well, it looks like this little, you know, this rafter up there was cut. I don't know why that was cut and what's going on over here and over there. And, you know, and I looked at the ceiling and I was just like, well, I think over here, it looks like, I know that they took out a fireplace. So it looks like that fireplace was taken out right up there. And here, let me get up in the attic. Or they actually asked me to go into the attic. They're like, well, you're a general contractor. Tell me what's going on with this roof rafter and if it needs to be, you know, looked at. And I said, well, how about we just go ahead and mark it that it does need to be looked at, and let me go take a look at it right now. So I crawl up the ladder and go, you know, 14 feet in the air inside the house and go look around, take some pictures, and, you know, and with my expert opinion, I was just like, this looks pretty good. It looks like they braced off everything. There's a couple of things I don't quite understand, you know, but all in all, no, this is great. It's not going anywhere. I would feel comfortable walking on the roof or walking in those rafters without any issue. I'm 200 and some pounds.
You've shared enough numbers, personal data.
I think that's enough. Yeah. My name is Sean Forrest. I am 39 years old and I weigh 200 and something pounds. Those are all the numbers you're going to get out of me for now.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, anyway, after that, I mean, so kind of going back to like the subject of how do you achieve balance in life? I mean, after that appointment, I mean, I was pretty tired. I mean, and how about you? Were you pretty beat? Did that feel like a good day's work as part of the day?
I mean, it was only 45 minutes, an hour. I think we were there.
It was over, it was well over an hour. It was at least an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait a second. You're right. Cause we started at 2 and we didn't leave till 4:30. So
it was a very long appointment, but I don't know. I just,
did
you feel like
fine?
Yeah. But did you want to come home and write songs and play music and go play a gig?
Oh, I don't remember the last time that I wanted to come home, sit down, grab a guitar, and play music. I think one of the strange things that being in construction and being in real estate, but also having like that creative spirit and like having that that creative background or artistic background, you know, I find that I also need time to recharge, and recharging for me is very similar to what I'm doing right now. I'm at our house. I am in the one spot on the couch that is lower than everything else because this is where Daddy sits. So this is where it's, you know, I've made a nice little hole here for myself. And this is like my little recharge spot. Like probably 7 out of 10 times whenever I'm done with construction or real estate, like I'm never done with construction or real estate. Like I always have like my phone over here to the right of me, and I go into like a little bit of like a recharge state, but I have to have my phone there to like pick those things up. So the idea of like grabbing a guitar and, you know, playing music and then getting a phone call or getting a text, that's what sounds jarring to me. It's not that I get anxious about, you know, those phone calls or those texts. It's more that like I don't want to get into the zone of like playing and being creative and starting to like let things, you know, out and permeate and do what they do whenever you are in that kind of creative zone. Instead, I just kind of go into a little capsule of, you know, this means something. Somebody's gonna understand what that means with the finger
This is
doing.
primarily an audio production.
Yeah, I
He is
know,
waving. He is wiggling his fingers
I'm doing
up by the top of his head, and
yeah, it's kind of like really close up spirit fingers by my forehead. It's just it's a recharge spot and a recharge time.
Yeah.
With the understanding that the phone is there when and if need be.
I think that's a real challenge to this career in general, and I'm speaking about real estate.
Sure.
That's a real challenge because, as we were actually just chatting about this earlier, well, you can't complain. I mean, real estate is very rewarding, but it can be very rewarding, but you pretty much have to be willing to be available like pretty much anytime. Now it's important to like set boundaries. For example, I don't respond to business related text messages unless it's an emergency after a certain time. Like if it's 9 o'clock at night, or even 8 o'clock at night, and I'm getting a text from it and it's not an emergency, I don't respond. Like, because you have to have boundaries. You have to, or you will lose your mind.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard. It is hard. I'm having creative time. It's harder to find. It's harder to come by.
Sure.
But at the same time, working a 9 to 5, and then coming home and doing dinner and getting the kids ready for bed, like that'd be hard too. So I guess it's just part of adulting.
I don't mind getting, picking up the kids and making dinner. It's more so cleaning up. I'm not.
I just mean making time for creative
time.
It's like when, no matter what, like just when you're an adult and you've got responsibilities, it's a lot harder to find that time.
Like, I mean, once upon a time, I probably spent, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day playing music. And now I'm lucky if I play 30 minutes to an hour a week.
Yeah.
And that's just playing to keep up with like, my, a little bit of guitar skills. I sing a lot less unless it's like fun, silly stuff, generally with my kids.
Right.
But yeah, like there's just, and I think that I one of the great things that I've enjoyed during this, I think this is this week 14 of the Creative Real Estate podcast.
It is.
So I listen to these, I edit them. I listen to them in my car because I think it's kind of cool that I can listen to you and I can listen to these people that you're talking to while I'm driving. And one of the things that I've heard a lot of the other guests say is like, you have to like make time. You have to create time for yourself, and you have to, create time for creativity. So you say, hey, whether that's 15 minutes a day and you block off that time from 5:45 to 6 or whatever time that might be, that's what you do. Like you stop doing what you're doing, you put it, in your little time block and you go and do it. And with the way that my life has been structured thus far, I've never felt like every time I've ever tried to schedule something like that, it's like the first 5 times I do it, the 3 out of those 5 times, somebody calls or somebody texts, or there is an actual emergency during that 15 minutes. And so like I said, I'm not anxious about the phone calls. I think I'm more like anxious about setting up a new expectation of something on myself. Even if that's as wonderful and generally as enjoyable as playing music and being creative in that light is.
Yeah, it can become an additional strain. It could be like, for example, when you and I were playing worship music, and we were worship leaders for a little while.
Yeah.
And we wrote a whole album of Christian music, of spiritual music. It was really nice. I loved our music that we were writing. But when we started to try to record it all and get the album together, it just became this whole additional strain and another thing to do. And it's hard to really add another thing to the plate when you've already got a really full plate,
and balancing and doing things in moderation. I don't think it's either one of our strong suits.
No way. You don't say.
It's just like like I'm more of like that go 100 miles an hour for as many hours as possible, or as many hours as needed, and then it's like straight shut down. Like I can get up early in the morning, I can go to work, I can check on all the jobs, I can call my subcontractors, I can get all those things done, I can meet you over at a project for a listing appointment or a buying side thing, I can walk through a house, I can kind of check things out for everybody, come up with like a fairly well articulated amount of information. Based on that, I can talk people through things. We can go pick up Ophelia from school, I can make dinner, I can get her in the bath, I can help get her into bed, and then it's like, all right, that's my my 14-hour day, and then I'm here in this spot for pretty much at least an hour, sometimes up to 2 or 3 hours. Or like last night, too much stuff on my mind, I was up till 1 a.m. just kind of zoning out in little recharge land, just because I need it. There's just I mean, the real estate's crazy right now, construction is crazy right now, everything is just seems like it's really crazy. So I'm trying to find some semblance of sanity, and I generally only find that in my relaxing zone.
Yes, I hear you. You can tell Sean's an amazing partner and dad, by the way. You're talking, cooking dinner, helping getting the baby ready for bed. So helpful. Mm-hmm. So amazing.
No, and I love doing it. All of, and the thing is that I love doing it. Like I love construction in as much that I love seeing very cool ideas come together. I love watching a project go from before and after. Like I get stuck watching those before and after videos, and I get stuck watching the how-to videos, like from scrolling through Facebook. Like they know that Sean Forrest is going to stop and watch that video through to the end, so we're definitely going to throw this 15 to 30 second advertisement right at the right spot that Sean Forrest is going to see it, and then he's not going to click on that, but at least he's going to see it, and then he's going to watch the rest of the video. That's me.
I gotta know how to make these planters out of candle wax and muffin tins. Stuff like that.
I've got to know. I watch everything. It doesn't matter if it's cooking or planting or building or whatever. I love watching. I love seeing how those things happen. But but I love construction. I love real estate also. And as much as that, it's something that has, it's been an outstanding career choice for you. I mean, it's been a benefit for our family. It's been a benefit for our, for our well-being. And it's something that I see you using your creativity in ways that it wouldn't even occur to me, some of the ways that you've gone about it, whether it's you're the singing realtor, or whether it's the way that you're just like, okay, well, this week I'm gonna do 10 YouTube videos, and hey, I found this other person that is going to help me with my online marketing strategy and how to set up these these drips and these captures and these things. I'm just like, yeah, that's great. Like, go get it, and you're and for you to become such a high quality and high caliber realtor in a moderately, short amount of time, less than a decade. Like it's just really cool, and it's inspiring for me because like I like the freedom that I see that you have, even though you do get those phone calls and texts at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, just like I do. But there seems to be like hold on, I got
Speaking of,
sorry, that was I had a spam risk from Ponte
ooh,
Vedra
are you sure
coming
you
out.
don't want to pick that one up? That sounds like a good one.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and let that one go. But where was I at?
Well,
Oh, the freedom.
the
Got it.
freedom, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Freedom, yeah.
the kind of freedom that you get doing real estate as opposed to construction is that, like, at 9 o'clock at night in real estate, it's generally going to be like a paperwork or a deadline concern, whereas in construction it could be paperwork, a deadline concern, broken pipe, water flooding a house, my electrical's off, my HVAC went out, my door's not opening, like, could be anything. And depending on depending on that relationship, the level of service, and the level of that emergency, it's me off the couch putting on the appropriate clothing and attire and leaving and going and fixing and taking care of those things. Because before I was a contractor, I was a carpenter and a person that, like, I mean, I understand how to build a house, and I've built a house with my bare hands before, so I understand all of it, pretty well, as far as plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all the mechanicals. I'm learning a lot more about, septic tanks and, all of the other things that become a part of construction, as well. So, like, it's so much stuff that could go wrong. And when it's somebody like me that feels like, yeah, I can fix it, I'm not just going to call somebody to go and fix it. It becomes detrimental to my to my sleep and to my life. And so I'm trying to segue my way a little bit out of construction and join in more this way with you, and with doing real estate, and with doing projects, for us and for myself. We can find places to purchase and to fix and to renovate, and then we can do those things, as flips, and see how that goes. There's still a market for people that want to buy a house where everything is just done, and done well. And I think that we're getting to that point where that's something that I would enjoy more. Plus, like I said, I really enjoy working, with you and alongside you.
That sounds like a lovely plan. I love it.
Yeah. Hey,
I
man,
love it.
it's on a 2 to 3 year plan, man. We're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So before, I know we have a lot we could talk about. I did
Sure.
want to touch on, and you did mention this earlier, but because I'm sure a lot of people are curious, whether or not they're directly involved in building or buying real estate. I think a lot of people are noticing that there's some pretty wacky things going on with prices. What are you seeing in construction, and what do you think is happening, and where are we going? What's going on?
In May of 2020, I was buying half-inch sheetrock for $17.95 a sheet. Through the pandemic, I'm assuming, and because I'm not in the manufacturing side of things, but I imagine that the amount of people that are creating the supplies on that supply side of supply and demand, they can't keep up with demand. And so, since they can't keep up with demand, we either aren't going to get it, or B, if we can get it, we're going to pay an arm and a leg. So that $17.95 last May, this May is $63.95. And as you can tell, that's a $46 upshot right there. And that's just on 1/2 inch plywood. The same thing has happened, where it's more than tripled in a year for all lumber. I was talking with my screen guy earlier, from here in town at Builder Services Aluminum, and I'm just like, hey, I would like to do, a little screen enclosure over here on the side of my house. He's just like, well, I don't know if I can even get the material. So it's not just, wood products, it's aluminum. A few weeks ago, we have a broken driveway where the culvert, after 30-40 years of service has collapsed and rusted out. And I've been waiting 3 weeks for a culvert. This was, once upon a time, this was an off-the-shelf product that you could pick up for $150-$200, and now now they're $300, $400, $500, but you can't even get them anyway. So like anyway, real estate sounds really nice because construction's getting real whack. The other day you and I were chatting with somebody that's looking at purchasing here in St. Augustine, right? And he was looking at, we actually had him almost under contract on a house, and it wound up not falling through, and so we're starting chatting back and forth.
It wound up did falling through.
Oh, it did fall through, yeah. And so we're looking at all these comps, and you start sending him all these comps, and he's like, yeah, it looks like everything's $200 to $225 a square foot. And they were some like nasty looking little boxes on a piece of property for $200 a square foot.
You're not selling it very well, honey.
Well, but it's not that, and I don't.
It's the basic, bare bones, like a basic small structure. Yeah, basic, livable, but not like not a nice, like shiny, polished, like perfect.
Yeah, and I think that maybe once upon a time, a couple of years ago, like you could build, for low prices. The price of construction didn't really rise a considerable amount, for 15-20 years. Like, I mean, it went up a bit, but it wasn't like it's been like, I mean, it's been a drastic change in a year. Yeah. It's nearly the equivalent of being like, okay, well, last year the minimum wage was $5, but this year the minimum wage is $20, so deal with it. There we go.
I liked how I overheard Sean saying, or it was actually a group text. He says, he's like, yeah, the $200 per square foot homes are in the bargain bin right now. It's like, I totally could
you remember going this big through bin,
like the dollar store or something.
No, man, the bargain bin would be like, like you go into Blockbuster or you go into like Walmart and they've got the giant bin of just like DVDs and or Blu-rays or whatever it is now. And it's like, here, everything in there is like $2. And it's like, yeah, that's the equivalent of $200 a square foot right now. And the majority of St. Augustine and St. Johns County. I mean, even it's starting to pour its way out, further and further into Elkton, the World Golf Village area, all Fruit Cove, everywhere that's just around here. It's like everything's kind of starting at $200 a square foot, and it's working its way up. That's just the demand.
It's interesting. It's an interesting time to be involved in real estate or construction.
Yeah. Or in life in general.
Life. Yeah. Life is
do I wear my mask? Do I not wear my mask? Is it okay? Like, who's got their vaccination like on the front of my phone now, because they told me that I needed to not lose my little vaccination card, which, I've been, double vaccinated now. So I've got the 2 Pfizer shots, but they said, don't lose that card. I lose cards all the time. Like I lose receipts. I lose everything. Like everything that I do, like I kind of lose it. So I've become really good at using my phone and taking a picture of like my receipts, of my bills, of and then I took a picture of my vaccination card and I use that on as my screensaver on my phone. That way, if I'm going to someplace and somebody's just like, "What are you doing?" It's just like, "I'm good." Here's the phone here. Like, here's there's my vaccination card. Look, it's real.
What kind of weird world are we living in where that's your screensaver on your phone? I'm so sorry, poor thing.
Yeah, it's and the thing is, like you just roll with it. Luckily, being in construction and being in real estate, we've learned through years of experience how to kind of roll with the punches. And so a worldwide pandemic where you have to wear a mask and go and live a new life and order your food a little bit more frequently and have things delivered and dropped off at your front door instead of hand delivering, and whatever it is, like you get used to it. And then just the same way that once the masks start to go away and there's a better handle on this thing, people will get used to being without masks, or at least keeping it in their pocket just in case, instead of wearing it all the time.
What's funny, the other day I was at Staples and at the checkout counter, they had, they were actually selling these little plastic card holders for your vaccine cards for like $3 a pop. I'm like,
no way.
I said, are people buying these like for real? It's just plastic. It's just,
I bet you it's the same people that started mass manufacturing the masks. And they're just like, well, we can't make money on the masks. The mask sales are way down. So we're either going to have to up the quality and up the price, or what's going to happen next? The vaccine card. Cool. So now we're going to make this nice leather wallet, and it's going to be $20.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Will be.
You can. You can.
Yeah.
Right. You could get it framed, like gold-plated frame or something.
I'm imagining in like the next 2 to 3 months walking into a place like, Coach or Fossil leather store, and them having like a leather case with their logo on the back with a clear front that you can put your vaccine card in, and they'll sell it for $20 to $50 and be like, keep it safe, keep it with you at all times.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a new form of identification. Pretty crazy.
Well, we got a little bit off the subject, but we talked about a lot of cool, awesome, wonderful things. And I really appreciate you being here, and we'll have to do this again because there's a lot more that we could dig into for sure. Thanks so much for being here on the show today.
Yeah, no, this is it's really cool. It's been a dream of mine. It's a dream come true to not be behind the scenes, but to actually be on the show. And so, yeah, thank you for having me and wanting to talk to me in digital publicness.
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I'm here in, Ophelia's bedroom. You're out there in the living room. I mean, we're still talking. It's great.
Yeah. We just, can't get rid of one another. Look at us go.
No. All right. Well, to the rest of you, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Creative Real Estate Agent. And if you're interested in real estate or eXp Realty, give me a shout. Love to hear from you. Till next time, stay creative.
Bye.
Bye.